Good morning, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Sparklers, welcome back. Yes, I've been gone for the first quarter, and now we're in Q2, right? So now we are in a different season. So welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. But today, I have something exciting. So as we start season two, we are going into an exciting conversation. So, have you ever struggled with the question of what comes first? You hear the chicken or the egg, or the gadgets or the money, and that's what we're going to talk about today. In this series, in this episode, I'm going to talk about getting focus and building a roadmap that serves you for your business. But before that, I have the honor of introducing our guest today. And Jay is a friend of mine, and we had this conversation, and that's kind of how this live came up. But she is a world renowned sales trainer and coach, best known for creating the conversations to client method, which is absolutely a great method, right? Because everything starts with conversation. A game changing approach that empowers experts, coaches, consultants to turn every conversation into a high paying client. Now, who doesn't want that? With over 20 years of experience, Jay specializes in helping entrepreneurs scale their business to 10K months and beyond. Her proven strategies are tailored to help clients master the art of selling, close deals effortlessly, and build a sustainable business. And if you're ready to hit your income goals, Jay is the expert to guide you to success. What I love about that is sustainable, right? So lots of entrepreneurs, inspiring entrepreneurs, people that have been in business for a long time, you hear all the time that say that business can be hard. And the part of that, there's so many components to business, but I think one of the things that makes it hard is the income part, right? Is the revenue generating part, where you will hear a lot of people, they have a lot of things. They have the tools, they have the AI, they have the assistant, they have all the things, but are they generating any sales, right? So I'm going to go ahead and bring Jay into the stage. Good morning. Good morning. How you doing?
Good morning, Leslie. I'm doing phenomenal. How are you?
I am awesome. I'm awesome. I am so excited for this conversation. I got my pad, I got my
Okay.
pen, I got my journal, I got my pad, I got all the things, right?
All the
So
things.
all the things to take notes. And here's the thing, right? It doesn't matter what you are an expert in, doesn't matter how long you've been in business. What does matter if you are a constant learner.
Ooh,
That is what matters. And also, you've heard the phrase that you are best for the five people that are around you. And all it is that, as human beings, we need one another, and especially as women, right? And women, we're always in community. And
yep,
so people that you are around can either elevate you or not.
yep.
And it just depends on where you want to be. If you want to be in elevation mode, get around the people that are action takers. Get around the people that want to move forward. Get around the people that don't have excuses for what they want to do. So, welcome to Mosaic Sparks. This is her second time being here, and we're looking forward to this conversation. So, Jay, go ahead and tell the people kind of who you are. I know I gave a brief introduction, and
Yeah.
go ahead and tell the people who you are.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, first of all, for allowing me back here for Mosaic Sparks. It's always a good time sparking conversations over here on your platform that you have created for us. But yes, my name is Janae Walker, affectionately known as Jay, and I am a sales expert. I started my sales career over 20 years ago. And I didn't have a really good time at it, which is what a lot of people struggle with when they either go into business or they get into that career, as a sales professional. And I had to literally learn how to be successful. I had to learn how to have conversations. I had to learn how to prospect. I had to learn how to do all the things, like Leslie says, in order to, be where I am today. And so I've created a a method that actually helps entrepreneurs create sustainable income months for themselves versus having to, live in that chaos, work in that chaos, build in that chaos. We don't have to do that. There's so many things in this world that are chaotic, and generating income doesn't have to be one of them. If you created a business out of your expertise, created some type of consulting practice out of your expertise, then people are waiting for you. People are wanting to have conversations with you, but you might not know how to do that. You might not know how to initiate, and that's where I come in. And so that's why I'm super excited to be here having a conversation about some of the things that I had to change within myself, right? First, in order for things to change on the outside so that I can continue to reach the goals that I really wanted to have for myself, for my life, and for my business.
Awesome. So thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned that the conversation kind of started with you and I. We were talking, we were going back and forth. And some of the promos that I put out, it talks about focus. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit later. And as you mentioned, you had to change some things in your business.
Yeah.
And, I know a lot of times I would talk to clients and even see online that one of the buzzwords is I am multifaceted, right? So hold on to that. We'll come back to that because I feel we're all multifaceted, right?
Yep.
But what I do see sometimes is entrepreneurs not understanding what that means, and they still need to take that to the marketplace. So we'll come back and dive into that, because I think that is a very necessary conversation. And as we talk about sustainability, right? Because in anything that you do, you want to be able to sustain, you want to have predictable income.
Right.
And so you're doing different things and you're not focused, you're not going to have that type of predictable income.
Right.
So I'm going to ask you a question. So based on your experience, because, not only you have your business, you've been a trainer for international global companies, companies that we all recognize, right? So, this is something that you live, breathe, is so part of you. And the wonderful thing is that you just get jacked up excited about this. So based on your own experience, why do you think entrepreneurs are not making the sales that they think they want?
Well, for one, the word sales scares them, right? The idea of having to sell something is not something that they ever saw themselves doing. And I have to be honest, I was that person too. I didn't grow up as a little girl thinking that I wanted to be a sales professional. And when we're watching those movies and they're showcasing sellers or sales professionals on TV, it's not always in the best light. And so we associate selling with someone being sleazy. We associate selling with somebody, making somebody give money for something that they really do not want. And that aspect of the perception of selling is what's holding people back. So first off, we have to take a look and think about what is within ourselves that can allow us to be successful in having conversations that will convert, but in an integral way, because I don't do anything outside of integrity. My clients will always tell you that. But what can we do within ourselves? What do we need to think about within ourselves that will allow us to actually go out and to create this income that we want? When I first start talking to people, I start reminding them that selling is something that we were naturally born with. And we started selling as babies. I mean, hear me out on this, but when you're a toddler or you're a baby and you start crying and you get your mother's attention or your father's attention, right? You are trying to get their attention so that you can influence them to give you a bottle, give you some food, pick you up, right? We learn at an early age that there are things that we can do that can influence people. So we naturally are influencers, right? And so we need to recognize that. And second, what we need to recognize is that there is nothing that does not happen in this world without selling. If you look at the clothes you're wearing, if you look at the computer that you're on, the phone that you are on, there is nothing that happens without something being bought and sold, whether that is something that you can see, whether that's a service that you could be a part of, or maybe an idea, which is something that you can't see, feel, or touch, right? So sales are happening with or without you. And this is a skill set that we must learn how to be intentional about, because we all have some type of selling skill within us, but being intentional is something that's completely different. And so the reason why a lot of people who are starting these businesses are not selling, one, because they're starting a business out of passion. They think because they're passionate about something that everyone else is going to be passionate about it, and people are just going to flood their doors or flood their phone, and it doesn't happen that way. And second of all, it's because they don't want to think of themselves as sellers, so they don't work on creating the skill set that they need in order to do well in their business.
Okay, you kind of caught me mid writing something.
Oh, sorry about that.
Starting a business out of your passion.
Mm-hmm.
I love that, and I'll tell you why. Because what I've always used the analogy, because I think owning a restaurant is like some serious work.
Mm-hmm.
You are married to that business.
Yep.
And I've always used the analogy is just because you can cook don't mean that you need to run a restaurant, right?
Right.
And
Right.
so as you talked about starting a business out of your passion and thinking everybody else is going to flock to it, a lot of what you made me think about this morning is sometimes we can be a little selfish, because we think that, okay, we have this business and I'm excited about it, but one, we didn't do no research.
Yeah. Yeah.
Two,
Yeah.
we asked the people what they want.
Yep.
We just assumed because we like it, all the millions and thousands of people out there, they're gonna like it, right? So it's a little bit of selfishness on our part. But to your point on that, welcome, Tish. Thank you for being here with us. But to your point for that, not only are we being selfish in that area, we're now holding on to something that we were excited about. We thought others should be excited about, but we don't want to open our mouths about it because we know that we didn't do the work to get to where we are, right?
Yeah.
So I love how you frame that, because we hear about entrepreneurs, we hear about business owners. In my area, there's 2 spots that over the last 30 years, they've opened. And Jay, I can't tell you how many restaurants have gone in that same spot. And it's they're usually open for 6 to 8 months, maybe a year. And my question has always been, wait a minute. So the bank is just going to continue to give people money and then they're going to close down?
Yeah.
Right? So I love how you frame that. And so can you go into a little bit more and I agree with you, influences as children. When my last daughter was growing up, every time we would go somewhere, people would just look at her and my husband and they would look at me and says, wow, she has him wrapped around her finger. And I said, yeah, he does. So that, we're born influences. Love that, because people have a whole different term for influences now. But if we can really lean into that, you either bought something because somebody sold it to you, or you're selling something, we can really lead into that. So if you can give us, I don't know, maybe 2 tips or something that you may have so that people can feel a little bit more comfortable and going into the fact that you were born selling.
Yeah. The first thing that I always tell people is to reframe your mindset. No matter what type of program I offer, no matter what type of workshop I might do, I always start off with mindset. How are you thinking? Because how you're thinking is how you're living, right? And so sometimes we might need to adjust how we are thinking on the inside so that it can affect our external world. So, what is it are you thinking about? Two, I love the part where you said that people are creating businesses without the market research. Your idea, it could be really good, but it has to be validated by the market. First and foremost, the market is our boss. See, when we start these businesses, a lot of people start businesses because they're trying to run away from a boss. They're trying to get away from working for somebody. But when you become an entrepreneur, you work for your market, right? And the market is going to dictate to you what is going to sell and how much it's going to sell at. So when I start thinking about restaurateurs and, not to just throw restaurants under the bus because they are just, something that we can physically see. There's businesses popping up every single day, thousands of businesses popping up every single day. And they don't have a great pricing model because they didn't do their research, right? And so when I start thinking about some restaurants that open up, and we're thinking about, going to go get a burger, but if you're charging $20 for the burger, does the market say you can charge $20 for a burger? That's what we have to think about. And that's the mindset that you have to get into when you are, selling your expertise. What does the market say? A lot of coaches, they'll tell you, okay, well, add up all your bills and, see, how much it takes to run it. Yeah, that's really good. You do have to do that because you are in business to generate revenue, to make profits. You cannot do that if your expenses are outmatching your revenue, right? But if the market doesn't allow for this particular type of product to be sold at a certain price point, what's going to be your strategy then? Right? So instead of getting frustrated or upset that nobody's buying your product, which, this is for a lot of us, this is our passion, right? So we're naturally sensitive about what we put out there. But if the market is not buying, then we need to take a look and we need to go back and we need to revalidate that particular offer and that particular price point. And just to be honest, not all of us can sell at certain price points, depending on the level of expertise that we are coming in the market with, depending on, the level of help that we are offering, right? So for me, if I'm an expert and I'm offering support to beginner entrepreneurs, I cannot charge beginner entrepreneurs the same amount that I'm going to charge an entrepreneur that's running a thriving business that's making $50,000, $60,000 a month. We're not being fair. And so the market's not going to be fair to us. So we really have to think about what is it that we're actually doing. And not to say that it can't be done. All I'm saying is that we have to implement a thorough strategy around your offer and around the pricing so that the market can be good to you.
It can be good to you. Love that. The market is your boss. Never heard anybody say it that way, but so true. And a lot of entrepreneurs, business owners do start businesses. I started my first business. I had a janitorial business, started that back in, I want to say 1996, something
Wow.
like that. Yeah, 1996 started that. And the reason why I started that is because I wanted my mom to get out of the job that she was in so she will have something, right? That was the reason why I started that janitorial business.
Yeah.
So we always start something. There's always a reason, right? But in that reason, as you said, we're passionate, so we're married to these things. Are you able to pivot?
Right.
And the pivot, I think, is sometimes where we have an issue.
Yeah.
The pivot is, oh my God, like I have this business and this is what I want to do. And but everybody is wanting this and I don't want to do that. And I will say that for myself, I experienced that myself because when I first started Mosaic, Mosaic was started in 2018. And when I first started, I had my first event.
Mm-hmm.
When I had my first event, I also revealed a book cover and wanted to bring women into that first book. Because in my mind, Mosaic, as you see, is a tile of different things. It is about community and women coming together. So that's always the foundation in anything that I do.
Right.
But what I didn't understand is that it could have different legs.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I thought it was one way and not knowing it could be different things. So after we did our first book launch, it was incredible. Had 120 people in the room. People had families. It was absolutely red carpet. Women dropped off in limousine. It was beautiful.
Wow.
Right? That is something I don't think I ever forget. Absolutely beautiful. So after that, now the authors in the book was telling me, Leslie, you need to start publishing and helping women with books.
Mm-hmm.
Jay, it was about 2 years, 3 years. I kept on saying, no, I'm not doing that.
Right.
That is not what I want to do.
Right.
I don't, because I didn't see myself, because the person that helped us with the book, she had been in business 10 years. She was a publisher.
Mm-hmm.
I just knew that within us going through what we went through, I created my own system. I was her first #1 best-selling author after she's been doing this for 10 years.
Wow.
So I created a system and kind of figured some stuff out, but I didn't think I was worthy enough to.
Wow.
Like, who am I to publish people's books?
Right.
I can't do that.
Right.
It is about bringing women together, right?
Yep.
And then what happened? The pandemic happened. And then a lot of us were forced to go online because I had 2 major events planned, one in March and one in October.
Wow.
The one in October was going to be at this beautiful country club. And I wasn't doing no events in 2020.
Yeah, nobody was.
Do nothing. So online, and then there was this great app that was online, and I would just go on just to see kind of what's going on and so forth. And I remember one time in one of the rooms, I just said, I'm a Amazon best-selling author, and like my inbox got flooded. I'm like, why are all these people contacting me? Like, what is going on? Jay, I kid you not. That happened for like a week straight, and I actually shut down because I did not know what to do. Was not expecting that, did not know what to do. I was just saying who I am.
Right.
And then I had 2 calls because, I started coaching. So I had 2 calls with 2 different ladies that said, Leslie, can we talk to you? 2 different calls with 2 different ladies. And both of them said, Leslie, because it was free, it was a free call. Leslie, what you just gave me, I spoke to someone earlier and they ain't told me nothing that you told me. They said, you need to start helping people. I said, oh my God, here we go with this, starting to help people again. Books. Like what?
Right.
One of them said, I spoke to a marketer and all he was talking about was just marketing. He was not telling me about nothing and all the stuff that you're telling me. I'm like, oh my God. And then I said, well, let me try this thing out. And then I did. And so that's why I talk about the pivot, because it was a pivot for me.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of you that are following me, my page on social media, we just had a #1 best-selling author again.
Yeah, congrats on that. Yeah.
So thank you. So, and that is something that I absolutely enjoy. Absolutely enjoy. Like when you can call a woman that has wanted to write for God knows when, or have a story out. And this lady, Angela, her story is absolutely incredible. It's called The Caregiver's Playbook. And
Mhm.
her husband had a hemorrhagic stroke an
Oof.
hour after they went to a Christmas party in 2022,
Wow.
right? And so she's been his caregiver, and he has helped her to be the caregiver for her mom. So it is such an entwined story of love that I just see, right?
Wow. Yeah.
But at the same time, there's so many caregivers and so forth out there that they may feel lost and forgotten.
Yeah.
So I say all of that to say the pivot,
Mhm.
and don't be married to one thing. Jay
Yeah.
said the market is our boss. Let me
Mhm.
put my hand up and say the market showed me that it is my boss,
Mhm.
because I was running from something
Yeah.
and people were asking me for this, and I was like, no.
Yep.
Women in my book, Leslie, this is what you need to do, because I know you haven't been doing this for 10 years,
Yep.
but you way better than
Yep.
who was doing it for 10 years, right?
Yep.
So you know, I hope that story resonates with someone. And the other thing is that as I'm talking about that, because I think this is the first time I've ever really shared that story, you know, how do we, even when we're in sales, how are we authentic?
Mhm.
Because people think that even in sales, there's a disconnect between authenticity and sales.
Yeah.
So even as I share my truth and being authentic to where I am now, how what would you say to someone that may be struggling internally like I did? Right? I was
Yeah.
struggling for 2 years. Like, why these people are like you're really like it. I don't want to hear this one more time. I already have in my head what I'm doing. I
Yep.
already have in my head, I'm doing events. I already know what I'm doing. So what would you say to someone that's listening right now,
Yep.
watching right now?
Yeah.
How do you marry sales with your authenticity?
Oh, well, that's another, I mean, that's a whole different point in itself. The one thing I want to say about the pivoting, when you're an entrepreneur, you have to master the pivot. You have to pivot and shuffle, and Detroit shuffle, Chicago shuffle, West Palm Beach shuffle. You just have to continue to shuffle. That's what entrepreneurship is about. Because the one thing I will say about when it comes to your goals and your strategy, right? Your goals of being an entrepreneur does not have to change, right? That is not what this is about. You want to, like Leslie said, she really wanted to start a business to help her mom at that time, right? She wanted to have a cleaning business, right? So I would say have your cleaning business. But if you have a cleaning business and you are targeted to go after residential customers, and you are in an area where 75-mile radius is all residential, then somebody like me might come and tell you the market is not calling for a commercial cleaning company. The market may be calling for a residential cleaning company, right? So I'm not saying or suggesting that somebody switch their goal. What I'm saying is that you probably have to switch your strategy up, right? And maybe you can do commercial further down the line once you get some income going from some of the people in the area where you are. And it might look and feel different at first. And it can get you to where you can travel or hire people 100 miles out so you can live your dream of having a commercial real estate company. I mean, not real estate, commercial cleaning company. But the market where you are right now and your funds dictate that you have to stay within a certain amount radius in order for you to make these funds. So the market is telling you, hey, let's go after some of these residential. So when things don't look like they're working, sometimes there are steps, right? And when we talk about marrying, because I never looked at it that way until Leslie just said it. How do we marry sales and authenticity? The first thing you have to do is you have to show up as yourself. And I tell people that I train every single day. Luckily for me, I'm around people that always helped me to understand that how I show up is beautiful. How I show up is great. Because sometimes we get into that mindset of thinking, oh, I have to be this, I have to be that. A lot of that comes with, identity thinking, identity marketing, however you want to call it. But I always tell people, show up as yourself. I'm not perfect. I'm a struggling, recovering perfectionist. And you might see that at times, but other times you might see me fumble and bumble. I fumble and bumble on sales calls. I mess up. I might say the wrong thing, but guess what? I'm human. And the people that I work with, my clients, they're also human and they can recognize the humanness in me. And until I can show my humanness, I'm not going to be authentic to anybody. Right. And so I'm no longer afraid to show up as myself. I have to. And now that I'm comfortable with showing up as myself, it allows me to sit back. I don't have to be uberly prepared to go into a sales call. I just have to be prepared to have a conversation with somebody that might be needing some type of help, whether that's my help, somebody else's help. Maybe I can help them as a resource. The bottom line is I'm just showing up to have a conversation with somebody, whatever path that might lead them. Would I like that to lead down to them working with me? Absolutely. But it doesn't always happen that way. And that's okay, because not every client is a good client and not all money is good money. And for those of you that have been in the industry and have been coaching, you know that. You don't want certain types of clients. And so we have to even get clear on who it is that we want to talk to. It wasn't until I got like granularly, if that's even a word, clear on who I wanted to serve, who I was called to serve, that it started to make sense that things were even easier than what I thought. So when you get clear on who that ideal person is, you get to show up as authentic because that person gets you. My clients, they get me. They get me and I get them. And that's why it's a perfect marriage. And that's why I want to work with those type of people. And it's the same thing for you, for in your business, for anybody's business for that matter. Find the right person that you really, really, really want to talk to, that you really can connect to, and you can be authentic.
Absolutely love that. I'm going to read some of Tisha's comments, and then we're going to come back to getting granular, right?
Okay.
Tisha had put, I often overthink my way around the obvious answers that is in front of my face the whole time. But when I figure out the answer, I hit the ground running. Yeah, Tish, that is something that I think that we all struggle with. And what I love what you said, Jay, is that you're just prepared to have a conversation. And that, I feel, takes a lot of pressure off.
Yep.
Because if you go into it and, kind of the mind, I don't know, mind games, whatever that I have with myself is that I said, I don't want to do no mental gymnastics.
Right.
So whenever I go into talking to somebody, and it really is a conversation. I mean, for me, I can be very direct. But I think the more I know you, the more direct I am, because I feel that you know me, so you know when I'm being direct from when I'm not, right?
Right.
So as a new client coming in, I'm not as direct. I want to have a conversation. I want to have you tell me why we would work together.
Right.
Because I can't go into not knowing you, and this is our first conversation. I can't go in like a bulldozer and being all direct. Like, well, who wants to work with somebody like that? Right. So not only are we having these conversations, but we also need to know when and how. Like with my family, And I think, your family is usually going to be the closest to you, like in terms of your circle, right? Like with my family, so I'll just come out sometimes and just say whatever. And even with my kids, sometimes they're okay, mommy. But like I said, the more I know you, the more direct I am. So, I love that, because we all have conversations all day, every day.
Yep.
People have conversations in the line in the grocery store.
Yep.
You're at the pump, at the thing, conversations all day.
Yep.
So just really and truly, that's a great hint for great strategy for anyone that, okay, you may having this thing about sales. Just go in and have a conversation.
Yeah. But remember, that very first conversation that you need to have is with yourself. So before I go into a sales call, I'm talking to myself, right? And I'm letting myself know, Jay, this is what you do on a daily basis. You can help people. This person, if they need help, you have what it takes to help this person. If they need your help, if they don't need your help, then point them in the right direction of the help that they need, right? And that in itself takes the pressure off. I can tell you, when I would have the wrong conversation with myself, that would start with me saying, oh my God, I need money. I need to make a sale. I got to go out here and I have to find it. Somebody's going to give me money today, right? When I would have that conversation, outwardly, it repelled people. When I had that conversation with myself, it outwardly repelled people. The energy that I was giving off was desperation. The energy that was given off was I was only trying to serve myself. I wasn't trying to serve my client. I was coming off very selfish. Now, that was just a conversation I had with myself. So first, you have to have a good conversation with yourself. And the good conversation sounds like you have what it takes to help the right people. This could be a right person, or it could not be a right person, right? Your only responsibility at this time in this sales call is to see what exactly is this person struggling with and what type of help do they need. If that type of help is something that you do, Jay, you have an obligation to let them know the solution that you have. I have an obligation to do that. It's my duty as a coach. If it is something that I cannot help them with, it is so important for me to connect with other coaches who are doing other things, because I also have a duty to be resourceful for that person that just took their time out to say, hey, this program might not be the best for you, but this person has a solution, has a method for exactly where you are right now that can help you get to that next victory, right? And so I want to make sure that I am, no matter where we are, where we end up, that person has a clear plan of how to get to victory, whether that's through my program, Conversations to Client, or whether that's through one of my other friends or someone else's program that I might know of. I'm just solving a problem. So we have to first deal with the conversation that we have to ourselves first before we can start having conversations with other people, or your conversations with other people are going to go off the rail quickly.
I'm not sure who said it. I'm not sure if it's Zig Ziglar who said it, but if you help people get what they want, you will get what you want. And so everything that you just said is, one, community, because I'm always going to go back to community, right?
Yep.
So one, community of the 5 people that you surround yourself with.
Yep.
Because you as a coach, if you know this person is not for me, I need to send them on their way to somebody else in my circle that I know can serve them, right? So to have that type of awareness, and here's the other part. We talk about abundance a lot. That word has really been around for the last few years, where people are just using it all the time. But that is an abundant mindset.
Absolutely.
Know that I can't help Sarah, but I know somebody else in my ecosystem that can.
Yep.
And Sarah's money me not getting Sarah's money doesn't affect anything else, because here's what's going to happen. I love the principle, the law of reciprocity.
Yep.
That is a law. There's nothing you can do about that.
Yep.
So as you've helped Sarah along the way, going to find Bill that you connect her with, because you know Bill can serve her.
Yep.
That's what's going to happen to you. Two more are going to come for you.
Yep.
Right. And I think sometimes we forget that.
Yep.
The law of reciprocity is so real that you don't have to hold on to someone that you know that you can't serve.
Right.
And as you said, when you go into a conversation prepared to have resources, to know who that person may need to go to, or to know that you can serve them. So Jay, thank you so much. I'm just going to read Trisha's comment. She started off as an indie author in 2016. The growth and plot twists I have taken are phenomenal. I have so much clarity now, and I'm now sure I need 3 brands. It's a lot, but I'm extra. Awesome. So let's talk about, and I'm glad that Tish mentioned about 3 brands. Let's talk about earlier. This is kind of where this conversation kind of started. Is let's talk about being hyper focused. Let's talk about as we're in business, how does and for women, because I know with me when I started off as well, I want to help everybody. When I started in 2018, I could not tell you who my avatar was.
Right.
I couldn't tell you. I know who she is now. I know who she is now. I had no clue. So how do you, as a professional, get hyper focused, laser focused on who your person is, so that when you're having the sales conversations, you're not wasting their time.
Yep.
And you're not wasting yours.
Yep. There's a series of questions that you really have to ask yourself, all the way down to the income that your target avatar is making. What level are they at, that you want to help? Like I mentioned before, do you want to help beginners? Do you want to help intermediate people? Do you want to help people that are at the top of their game? What do you want to help them with? What is the outcome that you're giving, that you are providing to these people? You have to be very, very, very clear, because it all comes down to being aligned. And so what I do in my business, one of the things I do when I meet with somebody is we get very, very, very clear on who it is that they're talking to, because I, as their VP of sales or as their sales coach, cannot give strategy to something that's unaligned. I cannot give strategy to something that is all over the place, right? And so if you want people to help you, the best way to get that help is to be clear. And so the very first question that I ask people, and I know I annoy a lot of people that come into sessions with me when we're doing that first session, because I ask questions that they probably never thought about. But the result of that is when they have it all down, written on paper, and they go to launch their very first connection strategy with people that are unaware of them, they are so super clear on who it is that they're targeting. They know where they are. They know exactly what to say. They know exactly what these people need. And then it allows you to sit back and just be authentic in doing it. Right? So even though I'm annoying my clients at the very beginning, it oftentimes results in them being super granularly micro clear on who it is that they need to be talking to and who they need to stay away from. There's a lot of times especially in our business, we will get people who love to suck up the time and space that you offer. It just happens. People are going to naturally be drawn to you. They're going to be drawn to your content. They're going to be drawn to the resources that you have. But you have to be clear and you have to be focused on who are those people that you can help in a way that they will actually pay for your time and your resources. And if you're in business, that's what you want to focus on. There's nothing wrong with helping people along the way, giving out free resources. But when it comes to your daily method of operations, you cannot spend all of your time working on the people that are looking for resources for free and not spend time doing the activities to generate the leads and the income over here with the people that are credit card in hand and ready to pay for the services. So you have to be very, very, very clear. The other reason why you have to be clear is we have to really understand if those people are willing to pay for the outcome that you are offering. Sometimes people are bringing outcomes that, listen, you can get an outcome at McDonald's if you're hungry. It can fill you up, but you're going to get a different type of outcome, a different level of outcome if you're eating a filet mignon. Hello. It's a different type of person. It's a different type of card. It's a different type of time of day. It's a different type of everything. And so you cannot come and sell me McDonald's cheeseburger when my business is dictating that I need the help of a filet mignon. I'm gonna drop the mic right there, Leslie.
I don't have nothing.
The things that make up my mind, I tell you, that just came out of nowhere.
Honey, that's a mic drop for real. Because who does not understand that experience?
Mm-hmm.
Who does not understand? And not only you went into that experience, you said a different kind of card.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, that's just a whole different level.
It's a whole different level,
And I mean, that what a great explanation that is. And I also feel that as we talked about really and truly knowing who you want to serve with credit card in hand, right? I know when I first started coaching, I would hear some top speakers. I would hear them say that there's no transformation without a monetary transaction. I'm gonna be honest with you. I was like, they don't know what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
They just want people money.
Mm-hmm.
I had all this stuff going on, but obviously I was nowhere near their level. Had not been in business as long as they have been, because most of us, when we first start, we want to help everybody.
Right.
We want to help the world. Hello, I'm open. I'm here for you. Right. And so when I heard that, but as you have more conversations to get to clients, you realize that the ones that pay attention.
Right. Yeah. Yes.
Right. The ones that pay want the outcome.
Yes.
Because the satisfaction, as I mentioned, the book went #1 yesterday, and just calling her and just having that experience with her over the phone, and I even recorded her, and now I'm gonna have parts of that clip out. But just the reaction of hearing a woman just go into thanking my God, and for 30 seconds just going, my God, and then it gets so emotional that she can't talk.
Yeah.
For me, that experience for me is why I just get up every morning.
Yeah.
Right? Because I am helping someone get what they want.
Yep.
Right? Yep. And so as we continue to do that, there's no way I can be out there just giving free this, and I'm gonna let me write you, let me help you do your book for free.
Yeah.
I can't, because you're not as vested.
Right.
And I think that's really what it is that you want, I know for me, I want the people, clients, women that come to me, I want you to be vested in this thing.
Yep.
Right? That we are doing this thing together, because the outcome is going to be as wonderful for me as it is for you.
Yep.
So thank you for that. I mean,
Mhm.
that, like I said, that definitely is a mic drop. And credit card in hand is so important. And I think that's kind of where we can get stuck.
Yeah, I think that is where we get stuck and see the point that, how it kind of works is you want somebody that wants the outcome bad enough that they're willing to be resourceful to find what it takes to get the outcome. Those are the people that I like to work with, because maybe they've tried everything else. Maybe they've been to expert upon expert. Let me tell you, there's a lot of people out here that say that they are sales and marketing strategists. Let me just put it out here. I am not the best marketed. I am not the most visible. I am not, you know, I'm not the one that's making the most money in my business. But here's what I can tell you is that my outcome is very, very, very solid. And I can stand on that. It's very real. And you have a lot of people that come to me that have been burned by other coaches. And maybe they've spent even more money than I take, right, on a solution, and they just haven't been there. I want to get to those people that are at the point to where they have to do something in their business or their dreams might go down the tube. And sometimes that's a harsh realization that we have to get to, but sometimes people don't act until they get to that point. And so a lot of people are at their wits end by the time they do get to somebody like me. And I do feel bad for my clients that get to that point, but sometimes that's what the universe calls for you to be aware that you have to do something different, and that there is no secret pill that you can take that's going to automate any type of success in your business. You have to do the work. A lot of times people are thinking that they can run their business and, be out there doing 20, 30 other things and not really putting the focus on the daily things that they have to do. And I'm letting people know, hey, listen, I've been doing this for over 20 years. I have not found an easier way to get customers, to get clients. I have not found a better way of connecting with potential clients other than having conversations with people. And in order to have the conversations, you have to do the work to find the people, the right people, to have the right conversations with. And guess what? Not all of those conversations are going to turn into a converted client, because they shouldn't, because not everybody's for you and you're not for everybody. So that means you have to put in the work to find the right people. And that is what takes time. So the people that I work with, they're under the realization, okay, I'm fine. I want my business bad enough, Jay, that I'm willing to do what it takes to get it done. If that means I have to block off an hour a day to do my lead generation, if that means that I have to implement learning time into my daily calendar, if that means that I need to, have time on my calendar where I'm having, conversations and asking people to do business with me, which a lot of people don't schedule. They don't have these times blocked out. One of the very first things I do with my clients is I send them a template of a daily calendar with the hours on it. And I tell them to mark out what they're going to do in their business and put all of their obligations on that calendar so that I can see. Because guess what? Your time and money are going to dictate how serious you are about your success. Like they always say, like when you go to church, you show me your checking account. And if I see the tithing and if I see, the giving, that's a clear indication of, where your heart is or where your relationship is with God. Not to bring it spiritually, but as a business coach, show me your time and I can tell you how serious you are about your business. So we have to make the time and the effort to do these things, because 20 years in, it doesn't get any easier. It doesn't get any better than really just making the time for the right things on your calendar and executing on those.
Absolutely. The action.
Yes.
Right? The action. In my world, what I hear some women saying is, I want to write the book, but I don't have time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, honey, all of us on this call, and Oprah and Jeff Bezos, we all got 24 hours.
Yep.
It don't matter how much money you can't buy more time, right?
Yep.
So we all have time, and that is such a great lesson for everyone, not just in entrepreneurship. I just even in your life, is how are you structuring your life? So I absolutely love that. I know in network marketing, when I started in network marketing, one of the things they would say is open up your planner, open up your calendar. Mm-hmm. And based on your calendar and your appointments, don't complain to your upline that you're not making the money.
Right.
Because you got to be talking to people.
Yep.
And if your calendar is blank and you ain't talking to people, you're not making no money.
Yeah, that's one of the funniest things when people get with me and I start talking about lead genning, and they're like, I don't want to talk to people I don't know. And I'm like, all right, let's close up shop right now. Because if you don't want to make the time to make people aware of who you are, then you'll never have a sustainable business. If you only want to rely on the 1,500 people that's on your current Facebook profile, then this is what you're going to be reduced to. You have to constantly make time to be bringing the unaware to the aware. So people get a little flustered with me at first when I start talking about lead genning, but then when they start to realize all of the newness that's coming in, all of the breath that's coming into their world, because they're connecting with people, that does, lead genning just doesn't count for new customers. That counts for collaborations. Mm-hmm. That counts for education. That counts for networking. I can't tell you how many wonderful people I have met from just doing the right activity in my business. And it breathes life. Leslie, I think I had reached out to you one time when I finally figured this thing out. And I was like, it's night and day, the type of people I meet and the conversations that I'm having. Because there's so many other people out there and so many other ideas. It's not just about the people that I can help, but I'm meeting people that can help me. I'm meeting people that mention my name in rooms when I'm not there because I might have helped them with something else. And that's why lead genning is so important to our business. But when I look at people's calendar, they have no lead gen whatsoever. They might have time blocked out for what they call discovery calls, but they have no lead gen. And I'm thinking, how are you getting people to your discovery calls if you're not bringing in new people? So it's just a mindset to know that your calendar and what you have on your calendar is very important, and it will dictate the success that you have in your business. Once again, it all goes back to mindset. Are you willing to talk to people that you do not know?
Absolutely. My God. Are you willing to talk to people that you don't know? And then, as you talked about the 15 people on your Facebook page, you could do what, 10% of that, maybe 10% of that will buy, because as we know on Facebook, there's a lot of lurking that may go on. And there's some that you don't even know, but I don't even think the 1,500 are going to buy from you. It might be 1%. It might be, I think 10% is kind of high, but yeah. And then what's going to happen if they're not buying anymore because you're just relying on them?
Yeah. You're burning through people's attention span is what you're doing, because you're constantly posting to the same people. And there's something to say about your energy. So if you're constantly posting to the same people, they slowly but surely stop responding or engaging. Now you're not getting any engagement. Now a new person comes along and they see you posting, but they see no engagement. Do I really want to spend money with a person that's not getting any engagement, especially if we're talking about selling? Like, absolutely not. I'm looking to see, are people engaging with your content? And that's actually one of the audits that I do. I help people like really take a look at what it is that they're posting and getting the visibility on that post, because that's where you can also lead gen. You want to talk about lead gen and from a place of authenticity. Your post, I was just working with a client yesterday, and she had like 3 comments and like 15 people that had liked her comment. And I said, did you reach out to these people that liked your content? No. Okay, well, your content is there for a purpose, and the purpose of that content is to reach out to those new people that are interacting or engaging, because you want to reward that type of behavior. So it's really just thinking about spending that time interacting with new people, so that way they can interact with you, because it's all about an exchange of energy when it comes to what we're doing.
All about a great strategy as well. Yes.
Mhm.
Thank you. Thank you. So
Yeah.
as we get ready to wrap up, what are some points that you would give new entrepreneurs? And I'm not just going to stay with new entrepreneurs, even if you want to say seasoned entrepreneurs, people that has been in business for more than 3 years.
Mhm.
As we've been talking a lot about sustainability this morning, what is something that you could share with them, and the person that's thinking about entrepreneurship, the person that, as we talked earlier, your passion, so they are passionate about something, it's just burning with them, they wanted to do this business for like 5 years. So what are some tips that you will give?
Yeah, the best tip that I can give is validate whatever. If you're serious about making money, make sure that there's a place in the market for it. So get with a coach that can help you validate that idea, give you some tips on how to research what the market is going to say to you before you put the time and the energy into it, so you don't waste your money, right? You don't waste your time. Validate the idea before you start to put all of that energy into it. Second thing I would say is get you a coach, get you a mentor, get you somebody that can walk you through. And it depends on what stage of where you are. Get you a coach for that stage. If you are a new entrepreneur, do not go and get you a coach that's telling everybody they're helping people make $50,000, $60,000 a month. Okay. Um, it's good to be in the presence of people who are making $50,000, $60,000 a month. But if you don't have the systems in place that can dictate that, you are going to be frustrated. So get you the right type of coach for the right time in your business, right? So that way you can go from victory to victory to victory and not be skipping a whole bunch of stuff in between and figuring out that you skipped a whole bunch of stuff when you get to the end level and things still are not working for you. The other thing I would say is, don't just focus on your product or service. You need to focus on 2 things. You need to focus on learning. Always stay abreast of the newness that's coming into the market. Always make sure that you are learning from others. Make sure that you're staying on top of whatever systems or strategies that you have. Make sure you are spending time learning technology, because technology is what's going to be fielding a lot of our businesses. Even offline businesses have to use some type of technology. So continue to learn, or get you somebody that will learn for you and give you the tidbits. And then the last thing I will say is, you got to have a thorough and complete marketing and sales plan. You cannot just have a business of passion without having an execution of strategy for how you're going to connect with people and then how you're going to close people, right? Now, there's also a part of our business that talks about serving. You need to make sure that you're serving correctly too, because even if you have a thorough marketing and sales plan, if you want to see business go out the window, serve your people wrong and you will see your business still go out the window. Even if you're bringing people in, people will not stay. So make sure you're serving people correctly, but you need to have an authentic way of connecting, inviting people, conversing with people, and closing. And if you are at that stage in your business where you are wanting to connect with people, bringing the unaware, people who are currently unaware of you, and there's more people who are unaware of you than are aware, and bringing them into your sphere, into your ecosystem, I have a system for you. It's called Conversations That Convert, and it really helps walk people through finding new people to closing people to serving people. And that's what it's all about as an expert, a coach, or a consultant. So find you a sales and marketing strategy that's authentic and that feels good for you. In my program, I do have a framework, but we build out based on your personality, based on your marketing skills, based on the people that you want to talk to. There's ways to customize it and personalize it so that way it feels authentic. So you can just show up and be your fabulous self, because that's what it's about.
Those were amazing tips.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I absolutely, when you mentioned about get a coach for the stage that you're in, oh my gosh, during the pandemic, oh my gosh, like you're just, for me, I just gotten online and you're hearing people that, you know, making six figures, this and whatever. I have no idea what's going on online. Like I cannot think about doing any six figures and I am online. Right. And then, you know, that word just kept on swirling like, okay, let me use six figures because that's just going to attract somebody.
Yep.
No,
Yep.
because I also work full time and I make six figures. So saying that don't do nothing for me.
Right. Exactly.
Right. So I get a coach for your stage.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And even, you know, because I'm thinking about that new entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, that new entrepreneur that, you know, maybe have done some research in the background, but then doesn't have that support system. So they don't have the confidence to kind of go out there.
Yeah.
This is, you know, coaching is so necessary. You know, I am grateful for coaching because I started coaching way before I started my business.
Yep.
And so I understand, you know, that the level of coaching.
Yep.
Get a coach for your stage. Jay, absolutely love that.
And don't be afraid to pay that coach. Let me tell you, one of the things I will tell you is that if you don't want to pay a coach, nobody's going to want to pay you as a coach.
Law of reciprocity.
Yep.
Law of reciprocity. I mean, love that. And many coaches have paid thousands and thousands. I need to go and add up how much I've paid in coaching because law of reciprocity. There's no way that you as a professional, a business owner, whatever coach, however, that you can expect somebody to pay your invoice and you've never sold that into somebody else.
Yep.
It don't work that way.
It doesn't work. There's something about the energy of exchange. I'm telling you, it's so real. And it happened for myself. I'm going to tell you, I was a freebie seeker.
Oh, wow.
I was a freebie seeker. You know, and then I used to get mad because guess who was seeking me out? Freebie seekers. You are what you attract.
Wow.
You attract what you are.
Oh, wow.
And so it wasn't until I started realizing that I needed to begin to believe in myself enough to pay someone for an outcome that I wanted before people wanted to pay me for that outcome. And it instills a belief, because if you know that there's somebody out there that you are willing to to bet and put your hard-earned money into, that you know that it happens and it's real. And when you start to have faulty belief or faulty confidence, you can rest on the fact that you know that there's people out there making money. There's people out there with credit card in hand. If you are a person with credit card in hand, then you will know that there's other people out there with credit card in hand. I'm willing to pay for a good outcome. I am willing to pay for a good McDonald's hamburger when it calls for a good McDonald's hamburger, but I'm also willing to pay for a good filet mignon and a baked potato and some good vegetables to go along with it, right? And so there's a time and place for the level of service that you need, and you need to understand where you are and what you're willing to do, because that's what's going to come back to you. I have no problem paying filet mignon, because guess what? I know that what I'm going to learn is going to bring in more filet mignon. Okay. So you want McDonald's hamburger? Do you want filet mignon? No offense, McDonald's. We love McDonald's. You serve a place in the market. You serve your place in the market. But sometimes I just need a little bit more. Yes. And we need a little bit more.
I love that. She said she was a freebie seeker. Love it. Love it. Love it. Oh, Jay, thank you again. We're going to have to get back and do a part 3 again soon. But thank you so much again for just sharing and pouring. And, you know, for anyone that is in business, thinking about being in business, these are some great tips that you could use in your business. And Jay just poured out so much. So we appreciate you. We appreciate everyone that came and joined us this morning. Like I said, this is season 2. We haven't been here in a bit, and we will be back at the end of April, because we go live twice a month, the first week and the last week of the month. So we look forward to we'll have another incredible guest at the end of this month. So in the meantime and between time, we will see you on the next episode. And thank you, Jay. Before we go, is there anything else you want to leave with the people before we go? How can they find you?
Yeah, definitely link up with me on any form of social media at Janae Walker. My website is janaiwalker.com, JAUNAIWALKER.com. Any form of social media, you can reach out to me. My last tip, get you a friend. Get you 5 good friends. Leslie is a good friend. We often share advice with each other. Get you a Leslie, get you somebody in your life that can help walk you through and guide you and give you tidbits in the middle of the night when you need them. Get you a good friend, a good business bestie.
Love that. All right, y'all. We are out of here. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for viewing. Share, like, because we do know that most of the people that watch our lives, they haven't subscribed. So, because I think we have like 28,000 views. So go ahead and like, share, subscribe. We want you to be a part of our world. So with that, we will see you on the next episode. Thank you so much. Bye-bye for now.
Bye.